Paul,
How you doing, Coach?
let me answer your question before you ask it.
That'll be great.
Okay? Tolu finally tested negative, had a little workout this morning. We'll practice today, and we expect to get some minutes out of him tomorrow. Thank God.
When you, that was going to be my first question, but my other question was about Alabama. Obviously, kind of like last year, it's a different matchup because they play so many guards, and I don't want to say the 5-man is an afterthought in their lineup, but they play different than most teams in the league. Does that make you play different with your starting five, or do you keep the same group considering Tolu's back?
Yeah, I'm not planning on starting Tolu tomorrow, although, we'll see. But we're planning on getting some minutes out of him. It's kind of tough. When he's been out of the lineup in the past with foot injuries, he's still been able to do conditioning stuff and stuff on the ropes and stuff with Coach Crane, where he's been able to keep himself. And he's really in incredible condition and has done a great job at it considering everything he's gone through. I'm just so pleased for him that at least we know moving forward here now for the rest of the season, which we have a minimum of 17 games remaining, that he'll be, able to play because he's not going to catch Omicron again. So, he's good to go. But in terms of them, I disagree with you. I think their 5-man's a big part of what they do. And you look at last year's team, Bruner and Reese were critical components to them winning our league and winning the conference tournament. The big kid they have now, and I really kind of, I'm horrible at his name, but the 6'11" freshman, Abinko, or however you say his name, he's a very good finisher around the rim. He's a very good offensive rebounder. He screens and rolls and finishes. And then they'll even play, a lot of different people at that spot. The transfer from Furman, who's a very good player, can stretch the floor and shoot threes just like Reese and, did a year ago for him, and Bruner, the Harvard kid. Gary is an excellent 4-man who played a lot of minutes for him last year. And he's a tough matchup. He just plays so hard. He's like Anderson Garcia, only 6'8", and really, really tough. And their guards, as you pointed out, are really key. I mean, starting with Quinterly. I voted for him for 6th man of the year last year, and he was one of their best 5 players. At the end of every game, Quinterly's in the game. And that's really, who starts doesn't make as big a deal to me as a coach as to who finishes games. And Quinterly was always in at the end of games. Really a terrific player. He's an all-league player in our league. Very difficult matchup because he creates for others and can also create for himself. Really gets to the basket well. He's an exceptional talent. Shackelford and he combined to give you the highest scoring tandem of any 2 players on any one team in our conference. Shackelford's a great 3-point shooter, really a great scorer, really takes the most shots on their team and is always looking to score. And then Ellis is another big problem because he's really long and athletic, and he can shoot the 3, attack the rim, offensive rebound. One thing that's interesting about their guards is their guards rebound on offense, especially Shackelford and Ellis. And then Davison comes in. Davis is one of the best recruits coming in the conference this year. He's, on all the NBA boards right now. And he's a big-time athlete. He had a dunk against Auburn the other night that was incredible. Anybody see that dunk? Any of you guys see that dunk?
Oh, they couldn't. They wouldn't stop running it on SportsCenter.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, of course you saw it. I mean, it was unbelievable for a guy 6'3" to do that on a guy 7 feet. So they're very talented, and they're a team that's going to come in here rip-roaring, ready to play, coming off a disappointing loss at Missouri. So and then Auburn, and they had a great chance to beat Auburn after being down a lot of the game. With 4 minutes to go, they were tied with the ball. They were tied with the ball again. So that thing was a unbelievable game, having watched it on tape now as well as when I saw it live.
John Sockloff, go ahead and hop in there since you saw the dunk.
There we go.
You mentioned all the good parts about Alabama. They made a deep tournament run last year, and all that kind of what you said kind of goes along with the culture that Nate Oates has built there. Based on the eye tests and most of the things that you said, do you think that this is the best team that your team has played this year so far?
Yeah, undoubtedly, this is the best team we'll have played to this date. Is the University of Alabama. I mean, they have great wins over Gonzaga and Houston, who are both in the top 5 in the net. They've played a very difficult competitive schedule. They're very talented, so they're battle ready. So there's no question. They're an NCAA tournament quad 1 team who's going to be, I think, seated very high in the NCAA tournament.
And how can playing a team like this early on in conference play, how does that kind of help prepare a bunch like yours?
Well,
for the rest of
the bottom line is, to the point now, I mean, this is a huge game for us because it's a quad 1 team at home. And, we've got to take advantage of that and show up and play our very hardest and put everything out on the floor that we have to compete with them and to be our very best tomorrow.
Andy, go ahead for a couple.
Hey, Ben. With the way Anderson Garcia played, I guess, what was that, Wednesday night, how much confidence, I guess, does that give you just with the guys you have in that front court kind of off the bench that you can rotate them and get?
Well, I thought both he and Javian Davis had great games for us against Georgia when you looked at their numbers and as well as just their contract. But they've been doing that all season long, and so I've had a lot of confidence in them the entire time, and all it does, it continues to give me more confidence when they perform the way they perform. So I was really happy for them and happy for our team, the way that they competed and played. And Rocket's given us more minutes as well. So, those 3 guys are obviously key guys for us coming into the game.
With the way some of those guards you talked about for Alabama, the way they are, I mean, is this a game that Cam Carter, with his defensive ability, might get some more playing time just with kind of guarding the on-ball defense?
Yeah, well, it's just staying in front of the basketball. He's definitely one of our best defenders, and he definitely may get an opportunity to get in there tomorrow.
And my last one is just, obviously you kind of set out a goal of NCAA tournament when the season began. With kind of this being a quad 1 game, is this the kind of game you kind of circle on the calendar for your guys and say, we need to pick up these kind of wins if we want to play in March?
Yeah, we circle every game, but this game is definitely, circled twice because they're a quality win if you beat them.
Steph, go ahead for a couple.
Ben, earlier today, Nate Oates was talking a little bit about Javian Davis and kind of, when they came in, they just felt that Javian maybe didn't fit their systems. There wasn't really bad terms when he transferred. What did you kind of see from Javian that you thought, he could come into Mississippi State and fit what you guys are doing?
Well, we had recruited him some in high school, and the thing that's been really impressive about him is he's really changed his body since arriving here. He did a good job at Alabama beginning that process, but this last summer in particular, he was down to 238 pounds. He was like 300 pounds when he showed up at Alabama's campus as a freshman. So he's literally down, a lot of weight, 62 pounds, 60 pounds right now. He probably plays at about 240. And that's made him more athletic, allowed him to play, longer minutes, play harder, move quicker, be more explosive. And, he is more of a low post player than a step out 3-point shooter, which is what they want their 5-man to be. And so, he does, fit an important role for us because we like to have a post presence.
We've talked a lot about just his free throw improvement this year. You mentioned there, the work he put in with his body. I mean, would you consider him, off the court to be one of the more determined guys you coached?
Well, one of the guys that has spent the most time on his own, working on his game, put in the extra work with Coach Crane, really doing a great job with his diet and, trying to be the best that he can be. And so I really commend him for that. He is a tough day ahead of him tomorrow. After practice today, he will go home and attend a funeral of his first cousin who was shot and killed in Canton last week. And, he was a high school teammate. They were best friends and spent every day of their lives together from 7th grade to 12th grade. and we're high school teammates on the same team throughout high school, and so it's going to be a very emotional day for him tomorrow, laying his cousin to rest and then coming back to play against his former team that he started out with.
Paul, go ahead.
Coach, I apologize up front for asking you the same question I asked you the other night after the game, but your answer, you kind of froze up on us. But just an update on where the process is. We're trying to reschedule the Mississippi State Missouri game.
You know what? We've come to agreement, but I don't think I'm allowed to say anything yet. So that should be out in the next few days. But I was alerted from our administration that the conference office has decided what we're going to do, and it's not easy for either team. But that's part of the issue when you have to do makeup games. And so we both have to deal with it. I think that'll be announced here in the next few days. I don't know when. I think it probably will come from the conference office and not from our own offices.